Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Garage Door, and we're excited. We have Vic Wayne of Star Collector with us in here in the garage. Well, it's our wannabe garage. We
That's
all
right.
the
We're
the one
this
world,
is
one
the
show,
hangout, right, Troy? This
the
is
hangout, the
the
hangout.
digital hangout.
And Vic and the band have a brand new album called Everything Must Go. We actually love the LP, love the title song. It's been number one on our Indie Radio Alliance chart.
Yeah.
Uh, and love the video. So, Vic, let's just jump right in here. First, I want to ask you about the video. Uh, love the imagery. Where did you get some of the stuff in the room? I mean, that was just so cool. Some of the props and stuff.
Well, thanks for saying such nice, good intro. I appreciate that, guys, and I'm glad. And I caught that little video reaction video you guys
Yeah.
did on it.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that was a lot of fun to watch you guys kind of react to the different moments. Like when Steve blasts in on the guitar solo, and Craig's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
Right.
You could hear it over the video and stuff. But so yeah, so thanks. But so yeah, as far as the video goes, the location, the title "Everything Must Go" is obvious, from like, when stores are going out of business or they want to have flash sales or whatever. And so I kind of liked the idea of that, like being literal with that somehow in the video, even though of course the song is not about that. It's much broader and more philosophical than that.
Yes.
But sometimes making something really literal, like on our last album, we had a song called "Beat It to Death," which had nothing to do with boxing, but the video was in a boxing ring, and I had like boxing gloves on and shit like that. So sometimes it's nice to have that sort of a literal visual thing when in fact it's totally about something else. But anyway, so we were thinking about maybe doing it like at a Salvation Army store and being sort of propped in amongst all
Oh.
the stuff like that. And a woman named Lana, who sings in this band, the Get Arounds, that we've played with, also runs a nightclub here, where we're playing IPO Vancouver this weekend.
Oh, awesome.
Is actually at her club called Lana Lou's. So Lana's band, the Get Arounds, had filmed this really cool video for one of their songs, and I was talking to her and said, "Oh, where'd you guys film that? That's pretty cool space." She said, "Well, I've got this empty like space right next to my club that we, lease or still kind of own, and we just fixed out the room to suit our video idea." So I said, "Could we come check it out and see?" And she said, "Oh, it's just so full of crap right now. You guys won't even be able to like walk, but I can clean it out if you guys are interested." And I just thought, no, don't
Right.
touch a thing.
Yeah.
Stop, stop right there. And so she said, "Oh, okay, come take a look." So Steve and Tony, our bass player, and I went down there one night after rehearsal and checked it out. And we literally just walked in and went, "This is perfect. We don't have to do anything to it."
Yeah.
It
Love
was
it.
just like this, like hoarded old stuff with old record albums and half broken nude models and crazy paintings, and we brought a few things in. Like I think Steve or Adrian brought in like this old high school band kick drum thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I brought in this evil little creature that we put on our stoop in Halloween that one of my kids used to call Fub. And we put Fub in the video. So, but short of that, the room was just perfect for what we wanted it to be. We wanted it to be trashy and everything
Right.
must go. So we literally rented the space for 2 hours. We got in, set up, filmed, and got the hell out of
Oh,
there
wow.
in 2 hours.
Heck yeah, that's the DIY, do
That's
it
right.
yourself punk ethos, man.
It
Exactly.
is. So we kind of had to have our performances down pretty well,
Right.
and we had the idea that you guys kind of twigged to, and at the ending where they start taking stuff away from me, little by little, my guitar, my sunglasses, whatever. And I just thought it made a really cracking little video, and Steve did a great
Oh,
job with editing it and the lighting and all that stuff. And mostly kudos to Steve, our guitar player, who we affectionately call the Monkey, because he really is the one that makes our videos pop. And we all talk about ideas, and we all share looking into
Yeah.
locations and stuff, but ultimately what you see at the end is really mostly Steve's handiwork. So yeah, hats off to him.
Well, see, I kind of grew up in that era of music videos, like those were huge as a kid. And so it's really nice to see bands still making videos like that. And it's very reminiscent of a good 80s kind of video to me.
No, thanks.
And Vic, now we'd be regret if we didn't mention all the members in the band. We've talked about them before, but I think if you wouldn't mind running down the members of the band.
Sure. Yeah. So there's me, who does all the arm flailing and songwriting, and gets my hand all bloody on the guitar. In fact, the last shot of the video, you'll probably notice that I kind of licked my finger before the last shot.
Yeah.
It's because I did this big windmill and smashed my finger into something, and I was bleeding. So I literally was literally getting the blood off, and Steve kept the shot in. But yeah,
rock and roll.
That's rock and roll, baby. So that's I'm the front man guy, and gotta write. I'm the main songwriter and write all the words and majority of music, or at least I co-write the music with Steve or with other co-writers, of which we've had some pretty cool ones on this record, but we can get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
And then there's Steve, who's the guitar player and video guy and artwork guy, and the real guitar player, as I refer to him. And he's been my wingman for literally decades, like plural decades. Yeah. And then we've got Tony Kerr, who we just affectionately call Tone, on bass, and he's been with us for about 4 years, but we've known him for about 20, maybe longer. Previously to Tony, my brother Adam was playing bass on most of Game Day and the majority of Attack Sustain, our last record. But he lives in Portland, Oregon, and it was just we knew we needed somebody to actually man the bass so we could do shows and actually have better sounding rehearsals and all that. So Tony just came. We thought he had kind of hung up the full-time gear boots, but just like the Al Pacino movie, I pulled him back in.
Right, that's right.
Much to his long-suffering chagrin, I'm sure.
Right.
But
Vic
he's
Wayne, the godfather of Star Collector.
There you go.
You got that, Captain York? But he's a fantastic player, and a really good guy, and he really cares about the music. And I mean, honestly, we've had 19 different people play bass in the band, and we've had some great ones, my brother included, and a couple others. But when Tony showed up for his first audition, he didn't just know 3 or 4 songs like you usually send out, say, here's 5 songs, try to learn at least 3 or 4 of them. He learned about 15 songs for his first time he showed up, and he learned them note perfectly.
Oh, wow.
So he was taking bass parts from all these different bass players, and he was still able to just it was quite astounding, actually. So
true musician,
so that's
yeah.
True. Yeah, exactly. Not like the rest of us hacks.
No, I didn't mean that.
And then Adrian Buckley, who we just referred to as AB, he's been with us for about 7 years. And he took over for our longtime drummer Ringo, who was with us from basically the start of the band in '96 right up until 2018 when he moved to a new city and had a kid. But we're still really good buddies with him, and he actually played on our last tour because Adrian couldn't make it. So that's
cool.
That's the lineup.
Well, Vic, talk about a tour. Any chance coming stateside on the back of this album?
Here we go again.
We've tried. We're still trying.
I do.
I love that all the time.
I love that you're trying to. I love that you're trying to pull us in. Kind of the same as before. I think if we're going to make a bigger jaunt, and we are actually talking about doing a bigger jaunt next year, but we're actually thinking of flying somewhere. We're thinking of going back to Europe, which we haven't done for a while instead. So we'll probably use our big tour time to do that next year. So and frankly, with the current state of the border and all that, I think we'll hold off coming down there for a little longer. But
don't name you. Don't. Okay, Vic. So now tell us about the recording process. You usually bring in the songs, correct, and then the band arranges them, or do you have a definite, idea? Are you a McCartney or are you a Lennon? Which one on that?
Well, there's 2 different questions there. So the first, to answer your second one, I'm a Lennon. Yeah. I've always been a John guy. Paul McCartney's the second best of
Right.
the Beatles, which means he's still, you know, maybe in the top 5 of all time. But for me, I've always been a John guy. Strawberry Fields Forever, Tomorrow
Oh
Never
yeah.
Knows. She said, those are like, you know, Lucy in the Sky. Those are my favorite Beatles tracks. Dear Prudence, man. So, but you know, yeah, I'm a John guy. But as far as our process goes, in the past, I've written more of our albums myself, and then the band arranges them, and often Steve will demo them, or Steve and I will demo them and then show them to the other guys. But more and more on the last couple albums, and in particular on this album, I've actually, as I said earlier, had a lot of co-writers. In fact, I've only got 2 songs on this. There's 13 songs in the album. There's only 2 that I wrote myself, and the rest were all co-writes. So Steve and I wrote about half the album together, and then I wrote a couple with a fellow named Ian, who plays in the soundtrack of our lives, that I had written a couple songs on our previous record with. And that's a band that I've been a fan of for a long time. And he lives in Gothenburg, Sweden, so we've never actually met in person, but we just developed a really good rapport on our last record and wrote a couple of the really strong tunes on that one. So I wanted to see if we could continue it, and he sent me 2 great demos that turned into the single "Everything Must Go," and another song on the album called Section 8. And then I wrote a song with Jody Porter from the Fountains of Wayne on this record, which was also one of those kind of cool things where we haven't met in person, but I felt like this is the experiment, if you want to call it as such, with Ian worked so well that kind of was feeling like, you know, well, can't hurt to ask people.
Right.
You know, using the mantra, don't ask, don't get. I just, you know, Jody had actually sent me a note when our Game Day album came out in 21, said, you know, I've seen your band's name around and thought it was kind of cool and thought I'd check you guys out. And I liked it. So we started up a conversation. And after the whole thing with Ian seemed to go quite swimmingly, I contacted Jody and said, how'd you feel about writing something together? And very kindly said, yeah, sure. And he sent me a demo, and that turned into the last song on the album called Your Version of Me, which sounds nothing like Fountains of Wayne.
No.
Right.
You know, it's funny because Shakedown the Breakdown was going to be my guess. Because that to me sounds like I've got in my notes here just from listening to it. That's what it reminded me of.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so, you know, Jody's solo stuff is fantastic, actually. And it's more, it's darker and a bit more shoegazy and also more kind of rock and roll. Whereas Fountains of Wayne always has that pop thing that Adam Schlesinger was, you know, really known for. And I like all of those things.
Yes.
So, but I will admit, when I opened up the file of the demo and listened to it, I was expecting something kind of rockin' like his solo stuff, or maybe something really psychedelic, or maybe something like the Fountains of Wayne stuff. And I got this really kind of moody, very almost Pink Floyd kind of vibe thing. But, you know,
Dynamite track though. Dynamite.
Yeah.
Track.
Oh, thanks, Trey. You know, our mantra over the last, I said it when we spoke last time, is to always try and expand a little bit of what our version of what our band is about, and not try to, you know, get too pegged into, you know, these guys are a rock band, these guys are a power pop band, they're a, you know, whatever. So I just look at stuff like that, like, okay, what can we do with this that it'll still fit on a Star Collector album and still sound like our band, but we can also sort of stretch out a little bit. And that song is a great example of us, I think, you know, doing it. So, and then I wrote another song with my brother Adam, and a song with an old bandmate named Dave, who I've written a bunch of songs throughout the years with, and he was in my first band. And there's a great story actually about the song I wrote with him, if you'll indulge me for a minute. So the song, so he sent me a couple files, and one of them, the first time I heard it, I just was knocked out. I said, that's the song. Yeah, do you want me to write something around that guitar riff? And he said, sure, go ahead. So I took the guitar riff and the basic chords, and I went and wrote words, wrote a melody, added a bridge, you know, the usual stuff when you're co-writing. And I had it because it was written with him. There was this great story of when we were in high school, because we were in a band together in high school, Dave and myself and my brother, and it was a total mod band. If you didn't blink, you'd think we were the Jam. Yep. And we entered this battle of the bands, but all the other bands had super long hair and were doing like Rush covers and, you know,
Sure.
7/8 time and all this kind of, you know, watch me do my paradiddles on the drums and let me, you know, here's I got 12 strings on my bass, not 4, all that, you know, like super, you know, show off kind of stuff. And we're up there doing our, you know, covering Can't Explain and originals that are kind of like right up that alley. And when we go for these band meetings before the thing started, because, you know, talking logistics, all the other bands would poke fun at us and they would, you know, call us names that are definitely not politically correct today.
Sure.
And even the teacher who was overseeing the process was kind of like taking jabs at us too, which I thought upon reflection, I was like, really, dude, come on. We're just like we're like high schoolers. And, you know, my brother was in junior high, which is, you know, I think he was 14 or 15 at the time. And, but we didn't give a shit. We were just like, you know what, we believe in what we're doing. And we got up and did our set. And the place was packed and the judges were all like newspaper journalists and stuff and music radio people. And at the end, we're backstage when they're about to announce the winners, and we're kind of gathered around Dave's amplifier, his Vox amplifier. And we kind of pause, you know, just freeze when they start announcing it and we're listening. And the judges announce that we won the thing, and all the other bands give us the big stink eye and you know, that whole thing. And we literally, like 6-year-olds, started dancing around Dave's amp, and Dave dubbed it the Victory Dance.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's the name of the song that I wrote.
On this record. Love that, Vic. That is so cool. That gives me chills. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Great memory. So, you know, sometimes songs are really quite ethereal and almost esoteric. Like, you know, your version of me, the lyric had to be somewhat esoteric and more philosophical to suit the music. But Victory Dance is kind of like the other end of the spectrum. It's this really pop. It's got hand claps and it's got this fabulous guitar riff that Steve played the crap out of. And
big hook.
Yeah, thanks. So I didn't write it, so thanks for Dave and for Steve. But you know, then that's kind of, I guess, in a nutshell, what we're trying to bridge with what we're doing over these last 2 or 3 records in particular is to try to sort of expand what we're doing so we can get away with playing something like your version of me. Which incidentally, if I'm making fun of strange timing, there actually is some parts in that song that has a 7/4 bar. And so yeah, but yeah, just trying to embrace all the things that we like and just try to still hope that it'll sound like us in the end.
Well, that's great. I'll tell you what, I always, whenever I listen to an album the first time through, I would jot things down that I'm thinking while I'm listening. And I wrote on here that what I noticed you guys in this album is you kind of showcased every instrument. Like everybody kind of had their own little, every song, there was something in them like, oh, that guitar part, or, oh, the bass line on that one, or the drums coming in here. And I really like that. I think you guys have kind of showcased everybody a little bit more in this album.
Oh, that's an interesting observation. Yeah. Thanks, Craig. I mean, the other 3 guys are really good players. You know, and I often say that in this very sort of self-deprecating way, and then say stuff about what a crappy musician I am and ha ha ha. But I've done that shtick before, and you know, like I said at the beginning, there is a place for what I do, right?
Right.
You got to have the front man, you got to have the and being the songwriter, like someone's got to get the songs going. But the other guys are really, really good players, so it would be kind of foolish not to allow them the ability to show their wares too, right? And if the song, you know, ultimately it's more about the song,
right?
But if the song can tolerate it, then yeah, why not? And we've actually had quite a few really nice comments about Tony's bass playing on this record too, which has actually been nice. I mean, it's fantastic stuff, but bass is often one of those instruments that kind of,
right,
you know, sails below the radar because it doesn't have the same bite as drums and guitars, and obviously the same focus as the vocal. So quite pleased with that, as is he, I'm sure. So, but that's a cool observation. Yeah.
You know, Craig, that ties in what I was going to ask too, because the mix is really good on this. I mean, I think the mix is really good. And as you said, featuring different instruments at the right time. Vic, are you responsible for the mix, or who did the mastering and all that for the LP?
Well, like the last 2 records, it's basically been me producing, and Adrian, our drummer, is the engineer and the mixer and the master guy. You know, I do the production. He does the engineering. When we get to the mixing and mastering, it's usually the two of us going back and forth, and him sending me updates or me coming to his house and saying, okay, these are my list of things that I want to, let's boost Steve's guitar here a little, and let's, whatever, and soften up the vocal, whatever it is. Let's do a vocal double here. Let's not do a vocal double there. All that kind of those little things. So I guess, for the sonically, it probably is a fair bit to do with me and Adrian. But also when you're recording, you have to get good sounds recorded. So,
Right.
You can, what do they say? You can only polish a turd. It's like someone submitting a really average or below average song that's produced really well. You're still trying to polish a turd.
Right.
So, if Tony gives us a subpar bass sound to work with, we can only do so much with it. Unfortunately, Steve and Tony in particular, both are really good with their sounds of their instruments too. So we don't have to mess with them too much.
Well, I think you guys have nailed it with this album. So
I don't want to. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb. It's my favorite so far that I've
Yeah.
heard. I think I've heard the last four, and I absolutely love it. I mean, as you said, what I like about it, you're expanding the taste. I mean, being a Beatle based, my foundation, that's what they did, and they expanded to different styles, and it's there. I just absolutely, it's a rocker for me for sure.
yeah.
Nice. That's great. Well, yeah, I think it's kind of been our mantra. It was kind of an unspoken mantra on game day, and then it became a bit of a spoken mantra on Attack Sustain, where we actually really recognized that we were pulling stuff up, further and further. And on this one, I think, yeah, we just continued that process. So, I don't think we'll ever get away from doing the real rockin' straight up tunes, because that is kind of our bread and butter. That's really at the heart of what we do, and at the heart of what Steve and I have sort of developed over 29 years of being in this band together. But like I said, when you have really good players that can tackle different types of music, and when you start to get to a point as a songwriter or songwriters where you can actually say, okay, so Jody sent me this thing, it's got violins, it sounds like a bit Pink Floydish, it's got no melody, what am I going to do with this? Okay, well, I'm going to try and turn it into something that sounds like enough like Star Collector, but of course, enough of what he sent. Because when you're co-writing with people, you're trying to bring the best of both things together, right? The best of what Star Collector can do and the best of what that other person or people have to offer. And, as I was just saying to someone the other day, like, if not, then there's really no point in collaborating. Right. Like if someone sends me a riff and I literally write 98% of it after that, is it really a co-write?
Right.
Really. So you try to take the best from other people. And I feel pretty honored that people like Ian and Jody and, have said yes when I've broached the subject. But I'm pretty proud of all those. And I'm proud of the stuff. Like Steve and I wrote some pretty good stuff on this one, I think, as far as we're concerned. I don't want to, get too grandiose about the whole thing, but from our perspective, I think Steve and I have written a few songs in particular on this record that are as strong as anything we've ever written together. So that's a really good place to be after 7 albums.
Now, Vic, where can people find the LP? What's the best place to go for them to find the LP?
So if you're in the States, probably if you want the CD version, or order it through Cool Cat Music or Jam Records. They're both US-based distributors, and it'd probably be cheaper shipping wise. If you're in Canada or outside of Canada, probably ordering the CD directly from Bandcamp. And of course, you can get it digitally on Bandcamp if you want to support the band and pay for it. But of course, you can also stream it for the 0.000 whatever of a penny that we'll get. I saw a thing the other day where someone said that they need 10,000 streams to equal one T-shirt sale or something like that. And I was just, and at first, you kind of balk at it, and then you go, wait, that's actually true.
Yeah.
So, so as soon as stuff goes up on streaming, it's great because everybody can hear it and everybody has access to it. So I do understand and appreciate that side of it. But we always wait a little bit before we put it out on streaming, hoping that we'll get some more sales. But once it goes up on streaming, it's kind of like the sales do tend to dry up somewhat. But whatever, it's the way of the world.
Now,
right now.
Talking about T-shirts and stuff, do you guys have merch when you have shows or?
Yeah, we do. We've actually had shirts for the last couple records, and you know, we've done up some like mugs and stuff, but they're usually special orders.
Yeah.
Like Steve and I have them in our homes, but and we could order them if someone wanted one.
Sure.
But yeah, so and the merch is available, like t-shirts. You can get them on the merch page on Bandcamp or at
Okay.
our shows. And if someone contacts the band directly, we can.
Well,
deal
people
with
need
them
to go
that
out
way,
and
too.
buy a T-shirt. That's what needs to happen.
10,000 streams, my friend.
That's right.
10,000 streams right there.
Well, not only the T-shirt, but they're going to walk around and market for you guys. So
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's great. And they're not, I mean, $30 Canadian is like, you know, I think we joked about this last time I was on with you guys. It's like $13 in the US or something. Not quite, but
Now, Vic, I
so
did before we let you go. I did hear that there is a you guys are doing a mini tour, like in up in BC there, British Columbia.
we did that just before we had our album release last month, and just before that, we did a mini tour. It was fantastic, and we also wrangled a show at one of the bigger venues here in town called the Commodore, which was just before our album released, and yeah, it was pretty good. I think there was like 800, 900 people there for us, and which, you know, pretty good turnout.
that's a good crowd. Yeah.
For us, and they were right into it, and the club let us you know put our big logo behind it, so it looked all pro and stuff.
That's
And
awesome.
we donned our whites and, you know, reds and the whole thing.
Well,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Very
so
good.
things are
Thank you for
great.
hanging out with us, man. We love the album, love the band, love what you do. Just appreciate taking the time to talk to us, man.
Anytime. It's what's this, like the fourth, fifth time maybe since we
I don't have to look. It's been, I think, 3 or 4 at least. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
We'll do a best.
we
We'll
appreciate
do a
you
best
taking time every time to talk to us.
Always will, and really appreciate you guys, you know, giving our stuff a listen and playing it on the show.
Well,
I
we
try to
think you
catch
guys
the
are
show when
awesome.
I can.
We appreciate you listening.
Yeah. Well, I will. I will when I can, for sure.
All right.